We're going to explore how there's a navigational pattern, how that's coming from unconscious memories, how those unconscious memories are carrying information that's connecting in certain ways in relation with these specific internal needs of attachment systems, and how different types of internal and external stimulus are actually activating that navigational pattern in the body-mind and projecting it into your personal experience. And so when you personally experience that thought or that feeling, that is actually the end result of all this inner activity that we're about to make these treasure maps of. And they're simple and they're colorful and they're fun and it's interactive and you get to color and draw and play, but you're able to understand these personal experiences in a whole new way that integrates insights about the neuroscience of psychology in a brand new modality. So I'm really excited to share this with you. These aspects of you never got to know who they really are independently of that body-mind navigation that's simulating your inner experiences. But they want to. They want to know who they are. They want to know the fullness of who they really are. They want to know the expansion that they really are. They want so badly to know who they are beyond how the experience is being projected through the brain, body, wiring. We are here to take back that power and start to cultivate it from within us. We are going to explore the most transformative journeys imaginable through practices called social self-engagement. You are somatically experiencing the fulfillment of the unconditional love that you crave to experience. That present moment is all the love that you need. Hello everybody, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for coming today. We are gonna have so much fun at this Loving Liberation PLAYshop, and I am so excited to share some wondrous, glorious magic that can truly shift your personal experience in a loving, nourishing, empowering way. So we are going to explore some amazing things, and I'm so excited to share these journeys with you. So first, we're going to start with just a little yes/no questions, and go ahead and speak your answer out loud. When I say yes or no, you go ahead and say yes or no out loud, okay? We're going to dive into this. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Let's explore this. Okay, how many of you have ever had a thought, any kind of thought, a perspective, an opinion, a personal story, a conclusion, an assumption, inner narrative, dialogue, ever had any kind of thought before? Yes or no? Okay, have you ever had any kind of feeling before? An emotion, a somatic sensation, a gut feeling, any sensation with mind-body connection, any type of emotion, any kind of feeling? Have you ever had any type of feeling before? Yes or no? Okay, have you ever had any type of movement pattern before? Any type of learned motor skill, habit, or approach avoidance tendency, such as knowing how to type on a computer, ride a bicycle, drive a car, or perform certain yoga postures or Pilates movements, or even skill sets you use in simple ways like washing your hair or brushing your teeth? And any types of habits or approach avoidance tendencies that help you navigate your everyday experiences. The things that you do when you first wake up, the process that you go through to accomplish a task or prepare a meal, the things that you approach or avoid. I'm going to approach eating this apple and this salad, and I'm going to avoid eating those chocolates, or maybe vice versa. Approach avoidance tendencies, habits, learned motor skills, or movement patterns. How many of you have ever experienced any of those before? Yes or no? How many of you have ever experienced any type of instinctive response before? There's something going on inside of you or around you, or someone says something, or something happens, or maybe the weather changes, or maybe a loud sound comes out of nowhere, or something goes on, and you have an instinctive response. And that response starts inside of your body, and then it kind of flows into your mind and into your experience. But there's some type of response. Maybe that's a response in your thoughts, maybe it's a response in your feelings, maybe it's a response in your movement patterns. Your body kind of contracts into itself, or expands, or wants to run away, or freezes and stands still, or you want to yell, or you feel really quiet like you can't speak, or there's some kind of emotional response, verbal response, physical response. How many of you have ever experienced any type of instinctive or automatic response to anything or anyone at any time in your life? Yes or no? And how many of you have ever experienced any type of urge or impulse, and you're like, ooh, I really want to go do that, or ooh, I gotta call this person, or ooh, I need to write that down, or ooh, oh my goodness, I need to go check this thing, or ooh, there's an urge, or there's an impulse, and there's some kind of movement pattern, response, habit, action pattern in my body that's guiding me to have this urge or this impulse. And maybe there's, thoughts and feelings that go with it. How many of you ever experienced any kind of urge or impulse at any point in your life? Yes or no? And how many of you have ever experienced any type of personal processing of sensory stimulus? Okay, there's something that you see, there's something that you smell, there's something that you taste, there's something that you hear, there's something that you touch, there's something that you sense, and you experience it in a very personal way. Like maybe you drink that cup of tea and the flavor actually reminds you of eating black licorice when you were a child, even though the flavor is not black licorice in the tea. Or maybe you smell a certain type of flower and you remember that one time that someone gave you flowers 15 years ago and it had that type of flower in it. Or maybe you see an object and instead of just seeing a random object, you see it and you immediately think of when you first bought that object and how much it meant to you and how you enjoy having and seeing that thing. Or maybe you hear something, maybe you hear a song. And instead of just hearing a song that you've never heard before, you're hearing a song that you know, and there's certain emotions that are maybe connected with it, and a certain type of feelings-based response that comes up, and maybe you sing along to the song and you feel into those feelings in a positive way. Okay? How many of you have ever had any type of sensory processing where it created a very personal experience for you? Yes or no? And continue saying yes or no out loud to these questions if you want to. Okay, we're going to just play just for a little while longer just to explore this as our introduction here. How many of you have ever experienced any style of mind-body communication where maybe your body felt something and then told it to the mind? Or maybe your mind wanted your body to do something or move in a certain way, and then your mind communicated that to your body. Okay, for example, maybe your body is hungry and it sends a signal, and then your mind says, oh, I'm hungry. I need to go take care of this need of my body. Or maybe you're exercising and your mind says, okay, I need to engage this muscle very consciously. And your mind tells your body, hey, contract this muscle as I do this exercise movement, okay? How many of you have ever had any type of mind-body communication before? Yes or no? How many of you have ever encountered decision-making tendencies where you're presented with a choice, and it might be subtle and immediate, not just like a big choice you consciously make, but choice of, what do you do when you first wake up? What do you do when this thing happens? What do you do when you have this emotion? What do you do when you're stuck in traffic? What do you do? How do you respond? What do you choose when you have a choice of what to eat? What do you choose when you're engaging in some pleasurable activity? What do you choose when you're going out somewhere and doing something? Little choices and big choices, decision-making tendencies. And in that process, you're in a moment and there's more of an instinctive, okay, I think I'll do this. And it might appear as an action pattern or a pattern of movement or an approach avoidance tendency or even a learned motor skill, some type of choice response where you tend to make a certain choice in a certain type of situation. How many of you have any type of decision-making tendencies? Certain styles of choice habits and the way that you move through decisions, big and small, in everyday life. How many of you have ever experienced a choice tendency before? Yes or no? How many of you have ever experienced a sensation of familiarity? Familiarity. Maybe you see someone that you are familiar with, you know them, you know who they are, you have some kind of a relationship, and you immediately have a sense of being able to recognize them and resonate with them or connect with them or feel familiar with them. Or you walk into a certain place, maybe like this place that you're in right now, and you immediately feel a sense of familiarity. You have a sense of orientation and connection, association, familiarity with that place. People, places, things, objects, sensations of experience, any type of sensing familiarity. How many of you have ever had a sensation of feeling familiar with something before? Yes or no? Okay, how many of you have ever had any kind of connection with a name or a nickname? Hi, my name's Bob. Hi, my name's Joe. Hi, my name's Susie Lynn. And there's a certain word or a certain phrase, a combination of letters and sounds that becomes a name or a nickname, and you have a sense of association or connection with that name. This is my name. I respond to this name. I associate with this name. This is my name. How many of you have ever had a name before? Yes or no? Okay, and then circling back where we started, how many of you have ever had any type of thought pattern before? Maybe a certain style of assumption or conclusion or inner narrative or dialogue or statements being made in your mind, perspectives, opinions, perceptions, and maybe those are in kind of an assumed way, or maybe they run as actual narrative dialogue across your mind. How many of you have encountered thoughts in your everyday experiences before? Yes or no? Okay, so these are all different types of body-mind navigation. Body-mind navigation. That's the term we're going to use to describe these things, because there's information inside of the wiring of our brain and our body, and it kind of acts as like a subconscious, unconscious mind that is helping to navigate our everyday experiences. So we can describe all these different things that are sensations of our personal experience that are originating from or processed through our inner realities. We can describe all of them as different styles or different types of body-mind navigation. Body-mind navigation. Before we dive into learning about some of the neuroscience and just exploring some of the details about what actually creates this body-mind navigation, what's happening in our inner realities beyond awareness, let's just take a moment for everyone to turn inward. And I want you to think of at least one specific personal experience that you are encountering recently, or maybe even today or right now, about your personal experience of body-mind navigation. Maybe this is a certain pattern in your mental, emotional, or behavioral health. Maybe it is a certain pattern of thought or feeling or movements or habits or responses or emotions or choice tendencies or inner dialogue and narratives or cravings or urges or impulses. Some component of your personal experience that stems from this concept of body-mind navigation that we're talking about, that you wish to understand. And you wish to explore what we're about to talk about and apply it in a very personalized way. So these aren't just abstract concepts we're learning about or discussing, but that this information and these insights can actually be personally applied in your journey right here, right now, in an experiential, tangible, applicable, integrated way. So just take a moment and think of at least one personal experience that you want to understand about your own inner realities of body-mind navigation. You can pick several different experiences if you want, or maybe it's a certain experience where there's a few different types of body-mind navigation going on. So just take a minute and think of a certain pattern of thought, a certain pattern of feeling, a certain pattern of movement or response or choice tendency, impulses, urges, cravings, etc. Anything we've talked about, anything we've mentioned here so far that you wish to understand. And maybe you wish to understand it so that you can simply understand your inner realities better, or maybe it's something you want to understand because you'd really like to transform it. You'd really like to shift it. You don't want to have that type of body-mind navigation anymore. And so you want to understand it because you want to open some doors to change it. So whether you want to shift a certain style of body-mind navigation or simply understand it, make sure right here, right now, before we dive any deeper, to pick 1, 2, or maybe 3 patterns of body-mind navigation that you are going to use these insights we're about to talk about. You're going to use these insights to understand your personal experience, okay? And you're welcome to write this down if you'd like. You can make a note of this so that you don't have to hold it in your mind. Just write it down. Okay, so now we're going to dive into exploring some neuroscience and some insights about body-mind navigation. But in the very backdrop of your mind, we're also going to have, okay, I'm learning about these insights so that I can understand this specific aspect of my experience. Because that's what's going to help it stick. That's what's going to help it land. That's what's going to help integrate this information so it's not just a bunch of insights being thrown at you and then that's it and that's the end of the journey. But so we can talk through this and actually use these in a very specific way with intention. Okay? So what creates body-mind navigation? Where does it actually come from? So you have these thoughts, you have these feelings, you have these learned motor skills, these responses, these habits, these choice tendencies, these urges, these impulses, these emotions and sensations and perceptions and perspectives, and maybe even some personality traits where these things are presenting themselves, and you have different ways of experiencing the processing of sensory stimulus. Okay, where is that stuff actually coming from? It's not coming from the mind that is observing it. It's coming from somewhere else. It's originating from somewhere else. Where we notice the thought or where we notice the feeling isn't where that thought or feeling started. So where does it actually come from? Okay, so we've got this like really miraculous brain, right? This really miraculous brain and all these miracles inside of our body. And in our brain and throughout our body, we have massive amounts of networks that carry information. And you can call these navigational networks. They're networks of information that have these patterns, potentials, and projections of navigation, okay? So navigational patterns, and these are flowing all throughout the brain and all throughout the body. And there are, can you guess how many navigational networks exist? Not just hundreds, not just thousands, not just tens and hundreds of thousands, not just millions and billions, but there are actually trillions and trillions and trillions of different types of navigational networks throughout our brain and our body. A couple examples of this, okay, one is when we're speaking, the only way that we know how to use language is because we've learned it. And that's why if you hear someone speaking in a language you've never learned, your brain will not process it into interpretation of language. It's just going to be a bunch of different sounds that don't have specific meanings. So when we speak, it's because our brain has navigational networks about every word, every phrase, every topic, every sentence, every combination of words and phrases, and all of the different meanings, both the fact meaning and the kind of emotional annotation, connotation sort of message that goes with all of this stuff. And so our ability to speak, our ability to write, our ability to communicate with ourselves and others through language is actually because there are navigational networks inside of our brain that carry patterns about every word and every meaning and every possible meaning and every phrase and possible interpretation of it and all of the different ways that it's communicated. And then there's also different responses to nonverbal communication as well that play into the interpretation of things also. So that's one example of navigational networks in our brain. An example of navigational networks in our body is, okay, so let's say you're cooking and one time you accidentally burn yourself. And you're like, oh, you have this big startled reaction. And in that moment, two things happened. One, there was a really strong emotion. And it was not a pleasant one. It was not a pleasurable emotion. There was a strong emotional response of, ouch, no, ouch, that hurt, ouch, heck no, I don't want to experience that. That's painful. Stop that. Why did that happen? My whole day is going downhill. Oh no. There is some type of strong emotional response. And the second thing that happens in that moment is there's a certain type of physical response. And your body moves away from it. Maybe your arm pulls away from the stove where you're cooking. Okay, so if you're cooking on a stove and then you accidentally get too close and you burn yourself, there's a strong emotional response and there's a strong physical response. And in that split second, the body mind actually gathers navigational patterns. And then when you are in that same type of situation in the future, the body mind will help you to navigate it so that you hopefully do not encounter that again. Because there was, there's a certain emotional response that didn't feel good, so we're going to try to avoid anything that's going to cause that emotional response. And the body learned to pull away, so if we ever get close to feeling that, what we're going to do is pull away. Okay, there's an emotion we want to make sure we avoid, so here's a movement pattern to support the navigation of that. Okay, so that's an example of a navigational pattern that can kind of live deeper in the body. Okay, so we've got these navigational patterns. We've got these navigational patterns flowing in our brain and our body, and there are trillions of them. So a number literally bigger than you can fathom. There's more networks inside of our body than there are people on the entire planet. Okay, there are more networks inside of our brain and our body carrying information that helps navigate the human experience than there are people on the entire face of the earth right now. So massive amounts of information flowing inside of us. So where does this information come from? How does it get there? Okay, when we are born, we don't have navigational patterns in our body, in our brain, in our body mind. There are no navigational networks. There's only the abstract potential for them to exist. There's only the abstract potential for these navigational patterns to exist. And then you have experiences in your life. And these experiences first begin during attachment development and experiences of social engagement during neurodevelopment. And so from infancy, toddlerhood, and then through childhood, there are these experiences of socially engaging with other people where those experiences are nourishing, or maybe not nourishing, the specific internal needs of attachment systems. And this process of attachment development and neurodevelopment are where experiences kind of stimulate the brain and the body to continue their developmental process and their growth into individualized specificity. And so right here, right now, there are trillions of beautiful, magical, wondrous, miraculous, energetic pathways carrying all kinds of really incredible messages that are just miracles in the fact of their existence And in the trillions of navigational networks existing inside of your body mind right here, right now, there is not a single person on the entire planet who has your exact navigational networks. Because no one is exactly the essence of you who is living in your exact body, who has grown and developed through the unique experiences that you have encountered. And so no matter what the lifetime of experiences that you have encountered might be, we can actually just pause and let that go for a minute and look inside of you right here, right now, inside of the miracle of your being in this present moment, and know that the trillions of navigational networks existing within you right here, right now, are entirely unique to you. No one else has the navigational networks of your body-mind in the exact way that you do. The body-mind that you live in exists just to support you, just to serve you, just to guide you through navigating your life experience so that you can have experiences, so that you can be here right now having this new experience in this loving liberation PLAYshop. The body-mind that the essence of yourself is existing through and within and around right now, right here, right now. There are trillions of navigational networks that exist entirely unique to you. No one else flows through the navigational networks of your body-mind. No one can do it like you do. No one can flow through your navigational body-mind networks the way that you do. No one can experience the essence of yourself the way that you do. You are perfectly unique. And the miracles that allow for the navigation of your existence are worth celebrating, no matter what they look like, even if there might be some unpleasant styles of navigation originating from activations in your body-mind, even if there might be some disruptions of that navigation, even if there have been some not so good experiences that have gotten stored inside of your body-mind. No matter the details, it's important to celebrate the miracle of the fact of your existence, the fact that that is a being to be at all. How miraculous it is to be anything at all. How miraculous it is to experience any moment at all. So just take a moment and just breathe deeply into honoring your being, honoring the essence of yourself, honoring the miracles of your body, mind, honoring the vast, complex, miraculous wonders of the navigational networks that are flowing through your inner being right here, right now. We're just going to take a moment and do a little breathing, and I want you to just hold space to thank the essence of yourself, to thank your body mind for being here, right now. And I want you to allow this to be from a space of unconditional love. It's not, I'm grateful for my body mind when I only ever feel peace and joy. It's not, I'm grateful for my body mind when all of my lifetime of memories are fully processed and no longer affecting me in a way I don't like anymore. Instead, we are actually just going to hold space and allow us to honor our body minds, to honor the essence of ourself with unconditional love. No conditions to holding this space right now. So we're just going to take a moment and just take a few deep breaths with that intention. So you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, both hands on your heart. If you feel like stretching, you can place both hands up in the air. Wave them around like you just don't care. Maybe you want to get up and jiggle around, do a little dance party, move your hips, celebrate your body mind with some movement. Whatever feels right. If you want to stand up and move around or just be in a very deep stillness in this moment with your hand on your heart and your belly. Whatever you feel inspired towards to truly give yourself a message of unconditional love. And let your body, mind, and the essence of yourself actually somatically receive that message right here, right now. So we're going to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and go ahead and make some kind of audible noise. Breathe in and out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Make an audible sound. We're going to do a couple more, and this time we're going to get a little more vocal, and we're going to do it together, so it's going to be fun and things, okay? So we're going to take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, we're going to make a big sound, okay? So it's is the sound. You can open your mouth nice and wide and really just let the energy flow through you, okay? So we're going to go inhale. Exhale with and again, inhale. And again, inhale. Exhale with and again, inhale. Exhale. One more like that. Inhale. Exhale. And just let that settle. Just breathe that in. Return your breathing to normal. Bring yourself back to stillness or back to that gentle movement or whatever feels right, and just let that energy settle for a minute here. Just breathing that in, breathing in that appreciation for yourself, breathing in that sense of honor and holding space for yourself right here, right now, exactly as you are, with unconditional love. So what we did there was actually a way to assist in vagal toning and autonomic nervous system regulation, which can help regulate other brain-body systems as well. And just a little interesting side note, the navigational projections of the body-mind also affect regulation. And the regulation of brain-body systems can also affect different styles of how the body-mind is experiencing the activation and projection of its navigation. Okay, just a little side note there. Okay, so let's jump back into this. So there's all these different types of body-mind navigation. It's coming from energetic messages, navigational patterns flowing through trillions of complex brain-body networks. And these networks came into existence through your lifetime of experiences. And that started with attachment development and neurodevelopment and experiences of social engagement, especially experiences of how you encountered interacting with other people and how that taught your body mind to navigate life in a very subconscious, unconscious way. And the navigational networks existing in your body mind are unique to you. No one else has the experience of the navigational networks of a body mind in the exact way that you do. Okay, so what is actually flowing inside of these navigational networks? Most of this information that's making all this navigational miracles that we talked about are actually coming from unconscious memories. When you think of a memory, you usually think of conscious memories where you can explicitly or autobiographically understand a certain past experience in a narrative way where maybe there's images and sensations and some kind of dialogue, and you're like, yeah, that was an experience that I had. And you can consciously refer to it. You can consciously, intentionally remember it, intentionally describe it. Or if you're, going shopping and you have like a mental list of things you need to do or get done or attain, there's a list and you're able to consciously access this certain type of memory that helps you navigate that, okay? But those conscious memories are a minuscule fraction of the information actually existing in the brain and the body. Most memories are unconscious memories, and unconscious memories especially carry patterns of feeling and movement. Unconscious memories especially carry patterns of feeling and movement. So they're not the kind of memory that you can intentionally reach into and be like, oh yeah, I see that memory. I have access to that memory. I know that that's a memory. I can reach in and look at that specific memory. You cannot do that with unconscious memories. But most memories are unconscious memories. And so the fascinating thing about memories is that memories do not exist to store the past. Memories couldn't care less about what's already happened. Well, okay, wait, but they're memories. They literally store things from past experiences. So how could they not care about the past? The purpose of memories, neuroscientifically, neurobiologically, the purpose of memories is to navigate present and potential moments. So memories don't carry details of past experiences for the purpose of remembering the past. Instead, memories carry navigational patterns with the purpose, the neurobiological purpose of navigating present and potential moments. And most memories are unconscious memories that carry patterns of feeling and movement. If you look at any detail of a personal experience, there's a pattern of feeling and a pattern of movement that's underneath that. If you look at almost any moment of any personal experience, there is some type of feeling and movement happening in the body-mind that is kind of the foundation of that moment of experience. And throughout all of the unconscious memories and navigational networks of the body-mind, there's the specific information that it's holding, often through abstract associations. And then there's the way that that data is connecting and communicating and collaborating with each other throughout all these networks. Hey, network, I've got this piece of information. Want to get together and make some new kind of navigational potential? Yeah, sure, let's do it. So there's content and connectivity in trillions of navigational networks, especially carrying unconscious memories with patterns of feeling and movement that have developed through a lifetime of experiences, beginning with attachment development during early childhood. And the navigational networks existing in you are unique to you and your personal unfolding. Okay, so now we're getting into the best part of this, okay? So when we're navigating something, there's usually some kind of priority or intention or goal or objective, okay? The body-mind is the same way. The body-mind has a goal with how it's navigating. The body-mind has an objective, an intention, a purpose about how it's navigating. So it's not just the experiences that have happened that have created the navigational networks. It's about something deeper, okay? And so I want you to imagine that in all these navigational networks, there's 3 different layers to them. And the top, more superficial layer that you can actually kind of observe clues from within the details of your personal experience are the navigational messages or meaning-making associations. And then the next layer down is the unconscious memories and content and connectivity throughout that information. And then the next layer down is where we're exploring next, okay? You can't directly see or look at the unconscious memories. They're deeper, okay? And so we're going to an even deeper layer that's deeper than the unconscious memories. This layer is the foundation of the entire body-mind.
It is the foundation of how every pattern of navigation begins. It is the foundation that determines how experiences are processed and translated into particulars of memories or unconscious memories or navigational patterns. This foundation is a system of attachments in the body-mind. We can call them systems of attachments. And each of these systems has specific internal needs, specific internal attachment needs. So we're going to explore this concept through 4 regions. And to demonstrate this, I have here to share my liberated consciousness diagram and something I've developed from scratch, and it just helps make sense of these ideas in a fun, simplified, colorful, fresh way. So there are 4 regions of attachment systems, and each of them has specific internal needs. And based on those specific internal attachment needs, experiences have created these unconscious memories that hold navigational patterns. But deeper than the personal experience of your inner realities, deeper than the navigational patterns, deeper than the unconscious memories, are these systems of attachments with specific internal needs. And the body-mind's job, the purpose, the intention, the goal, the objective, the entire reason of beingness for these trillions of networks in the body-mind is to navigate and regulate its existence in relation with these specific attachment needs. Referencing my liberated consciousness diagram, the first attachment system needs a felt sense of being seen, loved, treasured, appreciated, celebrated, valued, and with a sense of belonging. And the felt sense part is what's most important, because you might say, well, in that situation, they seemed like they were loved, but it's about how the body-mind perceived and received the energy of actually somatically feeling loved, feeling seen, feeling treasured. So a felt sense of these attachment needs means that the body-mind must perceive and receive the energy of its fulfillment, regardless of how an experience or situation might superficially or externally appear. It is about how the body-mind perceives and receives energies within personal experience in relation with attachment needs. I'm going to say that one more time because this is so important. It hacks and cracks the code of understanding our own inner realities in a profound way. In all these lifetimes of experience, a whole lifetime of experience is stored in the navigational systems of the body-mind, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier, right? There's these navigational systems, and lifetime of experiences is what's created them. It wasn't just about what the experience was or what it seemed like, looking at the objective details of what was involved. It is all about how the body-mind, not the conscious mind, the body-mind, the subconscious, unconscious mind in the body, was perceiving and receiving energies within personal experience in relation with these very specific attachment needs. Okay, so the first attachment system has those needs we just shared, and it's about having a felt sense of these attachment needs, a felt sense of being seen, loved, treasured, appreciated, celebrated, valued, and with a sense of belonging. The second attachment system needs a felt sense of safety, security, protection, provision, and stability. The third attachment system, referencing my liberated consciousness diagram, needs a felt sense of support, connection, vulnerability, closeness, collaboration, and community. And the fourth attachment system needs a felt sense of respect, embrace, allowance, opportunistic space, directional guidance, purpose, and a sense of importance. And so the body mind has two jobs: to navigate and regulate existence. But all the navigation, which is all the stuff that we talked about at the very beginning of this PLAYshop, all the different thoughts, feelings, habits, choice tendencies, urges, impulses, cravings, action patterns, all of it, all the navigation and all the regulation of brain waves, hormones, neurotransmitters, brain hemispheric balance, prefrontal cortex engagement, digestion, respiration, nervous system, circadian rhythms, all of it, cranial nerve functionality, okay? All these miracles that allow for our own personal experiences. The body mind is navigating and regulating in relation with specific internal needs of attachment systems. And so we're going to go into a little interactive discussion and body, mind, soul, self treasure mapping session. Okay, here are the treasure maps. Here's the different coloring utensils. And we're going to do a little discussion and treasure mapping, coloring, drawing, play session. And we're going to use all the stuff we're talking about here to actually integrate and personally apply these insights in a way that serves and supports your personal journey. So let's return back to, at the very beginning of this PLAYshop, you picked 1, 2, or maybe 3 different components of your body-mind navigation, your personal experiences, your inner realities that you wish to understand. And maybe that's to connect deeper with aspects of yourself, or maybe you want to shift and rewire and transform that style of navigational pattern in your body-mind, or maybe you're just curious for the heck of it and you're just like, I just want to know. I just want to know what's going on in me. Okay, so come back to that intention. You had a few, maybe one, maybe a couple different styles of inner navigation that you want to understand. Okay, so bring those up to the forefront of your awareness. And we're going to first do a little Q&A session, and then we're going to dive into this coloring. So are there any questions about any of the stuff we're talking about here? Okay, now that we've engaged in an amazing discussion, thank you for everyone who came forward with their amazing questions and very boldly and bravely and courageously and openly shared some of your own personal inquiries on this journey, and we talked it all through. Thank you for everyone who engaged in this. Now that we've talked this through and kind of integrated stuff that we've been talking about and learning about here, we are going to apply it in a visual way. Okay, so everyone's got their play sheets out. Okay, so first I want you to write the navigational pattern that you wish to understand. In just a few words, go ahead and write down on your coloring play sheet in the little box where we're putting in the navigational patterns, go ahead and write down the navigational pattern that you wish to understand. And what we're going to do is we're going to explore the application of these insights in a personal way. We're going to explore how there's a navigational pattern, how that's coming from unconscious memories, how those unconscious memories are carrying information that's connecting in certain ways in relation with these specific internal needs of attachment systems, and how different types of internal and external stimulus are actually activating that navigational pattern in the body-mind and projecting it into your personal experience. And so when you personally experience that thought or that feeling, that is actually the end result of all this inner activity that we're about to make these treasure maps of. And they're simple and they're colorful and they're
fun and it's interactive and you get to color and draw and play, but you're able to understand these personal experiences in a whole new way that integrates insights about the neuroscience of psychology in a brand new modality. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So go ahead and start by writing down that navigational pattern that you wish to understand. Then we're going to walk you through step by step, and I'll work with you individually, and we'll go in a group and we'll play and have fun. And we're going to make these personalized treasure maps so that you can understand your inner realities in a new way. Okay, great job, everyone. That was an amazing treasure mapping session. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. You guys are amazing. You did such a great job. And now everybody has their beautiful, magical takeaway, take-home coloring play sheets where there's these simple drawings, and they're now all colored and filled in, and you understand the application of these insights. You understand how there's different stimulus coming in that activates these unconscious memories carrying navigational patterns in relation with attachment needs, and how that's actually stimulating all this information that precedes the consciously observable thoughts, feelings, movement patterns, etc. Okay, the next piece of this is we want to distinguish the essence of self from the experiences being encountered through body-mind miracles. We want to distinguish the essence of who you really are. Not the experience that you're encountering, the who of you, the essence of you, your soul self, your authentic self, the essence of you, aspects of you. And distinguishing those parts of the self, those aspects of essence, distinguishing and differentiating the self from the brain-body wiring, from the body-mind navigation, from the details of personal experiences being translated through those inner realities, okay? So you'll see on your treasure maps, okay, we have all the lines that signify the body-mind wiring, okay? But then there are hearts. There's 4 different hearts, each one connecting with each of those 4 body-mind regions that has its specific internal attachment needs, okay? Imagine that each of those hearts represents an infinite amount of aspects of yourself. And while there are the regions, the trillions of networks in the brain and the body that carry all these navigational patterns in the body-mind, then there is the essence of who you really are. That actually has nothing to do with your experience. But these parts of you are experiencing life through body-mind navigation, and so they never got the chance to know who they are independently of that. These aspects of you never got to know who they really are independently of that body-mind navigation that's simulating your inner experiences. But they want to. They want to know who they are. They want to know the fullness of who they really are. They want to know the expansion that they really are. They want so badly to know who they are beyond how the experience is being projected through the brain, body, wiring. And so we're about to take another little journey, and we're going to explore who these aspects of self are through a lens of infinite love, unconditional love. When the body-mind's attachment needs are fulfilled and the body-mind is navigating and regulating its own existence in relation with the fulfillment of attachment needs, then the body-mind actually has the capacity to experience every moment through unconditional love. But it's only these past experiences of unfulfilled attachment needs creating navigational patterns that are not projecting unconditional love that cause these parts of the self to not know the fullness of who they are. But the truth is that these aspects of self are love. Love is the truth of who they are.
So we're going to go through and explore a way to describe each aspect of self, each region of self aspects. And if the phrasing that I use does not resonate with you, that's fine. You're welcome to find your own description or adjective, as long as it feels validating in a way that connects with the aspects of yourself from that space of infinite love. So the first attachment system, okay, we're turning here, we're looking at that first attachment system there at the top of the diagram. It requires a felt sense of being seen, loved, treasured, appreciated, celebrated, valued, and with a sense of belonging, okay? The aspects of self who are experiencing the trillion navigational networks that are prioritizing those attachment needs or surviving the lack of the fulfillment of those attachment needs, the self aspects flowing through those regions are love's sacred embodiment. Love's sacred embodiment. The embodiment of unconditional love. And they especially encounter the reception of energy within personal experience. They receive energy through the body. And that first body-mind region of navigational patterns that supports the essence of self as love's sacred embodiment holds the foundation of worthiness and joy. Worthiness and joy. And that second region there, so on the left side of that diagram, the second region, the navigational networks are prioritizing how to fulfill or survive the lack of fulfillment of that felt sense of safety, security, protection, provision, and stability. But that's the body-mind. Then there are the aspects of self. And so that little heart representing these infinite aspects of self, those parts of the self flowing through that information of body-mind navigation, those self aspects are love's sacred champion. Love's sacred champion. They are the champion of unconditional love. Those self aspects are the champion of unconditional love. And it's only when those self aspects do not encounter the fulfillment of their attachment needs that they experience themselves as something else, something different, something less than, or something distorted, or something less than love. And the second body-mind region that navigates those specific attachment needs and supports the essence of self as love's sacred champion holds the foundation of peace and relaxation. Peace and relaxation. And then the third body-mind region holds navigational patterns that prioritize how to fulfill or survive the lack of fulfillment for the attachment needs of support, connection, vulnerability, closeness, community, and collaboration. And the aspects of self who are experiencing life through those navigational regions of the body-mind are love's sacred presence. Love's sacred presence. The sacred presence of unconditional love. The presence of unconditional love. And it is only when these attachment needs are not fulfilled or they are conditionally fulfilled, they're only fulfilled if you do XYZ or if you act in this XYZ way, or if their fulfillment is dependent on outside sources, dependent on external experiences, conditional fulfillment or lack of fulfillment of these attachment needs. It is only when these attachment needs are not consistently met with unconditional love that these aspects of the self will experience something other than the presence of unconditional love. And this region of the body-mind navigation and these aspects of the self create the foundation of gratitude, compassion, and grounded presence. Gratitude, compassion, and grounded presence. And then we have the fourth body-mind region that's carrying these navigational patterns in relation with the well-being of the internal need to feel recognized, respected, embraced, allowed, with opportunistic space, directional guidance, purpose, and a sense of importance. And the aspects of self experiencing life through those navigational structures of the body-mind are the sacred witness and power of unconditional love. Love's sacred witness and power. The sacred power and witness of unconditional love. And this fourth body-mind region and those aspects of self as love's sacred witness and love's sacred power hold the foundation of confidence and empowerment within the body-mind, within the self, and within personal experience. That first body-mind region navigates the reception of energy. The second body-mind region navigates the sustainment of energy. The third body-mind region navigates the extension of energy. And the fourth body-mind region navigates the perception of energy within personal experience. And we'll integrate those insights into these treasure mapping to understand your personal experiences. And then you'll notice a star in the middle of the diagram closest with that fourth body-mind region. And that represents the aspects of self who are within a space of pure awareness. And the star represents the parts of self who do not personally encounter any of personal experience. It's just awareness, just a place of observation, just a place of pure witnessing, just a place of pure awareness. And that awareness of self can then observe and respond to aspects of the inner experiencer and their attachment needs to help activate and reunify and expand aspects of self while positively influencing body-mind wiring to improve the styles of navigation and regulation so that life can be experienced with more love, more unconditional love, more internal well-being. And this increases the qualities of each body-mind region, including joy, worthiness, relaxation, peace, presence, compassion, gratitude, empowerment, and confidence. Okay, now we're going to take the treasure mapping a step further and create a new way to connect with these aspects of the self. And so in that pattern of feeling lonely that stems from the first body-mind region, we can know that that pattern of feeling lonely, the thoughts, the feelings, maybe the choice tendencies to cope with the feelings and the thoughts of loneliness, they come from that first body-mind region because there is not a felt sense of the attachment need fulfillment there. But the aspects of self are not that loneliness. And the truth of who those parts of self are is that they are love's sacred embodiment. They are the embodiment of unconditional love. But they cannot experience that unconditional love inside of their body until they have navigational patterns that support the well-being of those attachment needs. And so we can create space to see and honor and reunify and connect with those aspects of self by honoring them as love's sacred embodiment, even if that's not who they feel that they are. Because that is the truth of who they are. They just don't know that because the navigational patterns of the body-mind do not yet have the energies to support who they really are. And that chronic pattern of just feeling judgment and criticism and cynicism and that just the negativity kind of spewing inside and out, that's coming from that third body-mind region, from navigational patterns that don't have energies about the fulfillment of its attachment needs. And so love's sacred presence is not able to experience the presence of unconditional love because the navigational patterns of the body-mind don't have the information to support that. But the aspects of self are not defined by the experience or the energies held in those navigational patterns of the body-mind. And when we honor those parts of the self as love's sacred presence, the presence of unconditional love, we can start to distinguish who the self is from the details of experience that are being translated through the wiring of the brain and the body. And we can set an intention for the direction we'd like to go in, getting to know those aspects of the self beyond the way that they have been experiencing themselves. And that feeling of anxiety that you're treasure mapping there, that feeling of anxiety, that's a navigational projection from that second body-mind region in relation with those attachment needs. But the anxiety is not who the self is. That is a navigational projection of the body-mind. So we want to get to know who the self is beyond just the way the navigational projections of the body-mind are telling the self who they are. And so there's the anxiety, but that's coming from body-mind wiring, okay? So who is the self? The self is love's sacred champion. The champion of unconditional love, the champion of sacred love, the champion of infinite love, love's sacred champion. And when those aspects of the self can actually receive the validation that they are the champion of love, they are not the navigational projections from the body-mind of anxiety because of unfulfilled attachment needs. That is not who they are. They get to know that they are love's sacred champion. And for your BodyMind+SoulSelf treasure mapping, you're exploring that inner sensation of feeling insecure and inferior and not being able to step in with your own authentic expression, whether that's, speaking up in front of people that you love or sharing an idea for a project at work, feeling insecure and inferior and not being able to express your own true self in various types of situations. And there's different sensations that come up, but we pinpointed it can kind of be summarized as a feeling of insecure and inferior. And then there's a variety of thoughts, sensations, and choice tendencies that kind of stem from that, okay? But the feeling, the sensation of insecurity and inferiority, feeling insecure and inferior, those are navigational projections from the body-mind because of unfulfilled attachment needs. But those feelings, those thoughts, those choice patterns, that sensation of personal experience is not the truth of who those aspects of self are. The essence of self is the sacred witness of love and the sacred power of love. The sacred witness is kind of the more passive side of these self aspects, and the sacred power of love is the more active side of these self aspects. But the essence of self who is flowing through those navigational patterns, the true essence of self is not insecure. The essence of self never feels inferior. It is only the body-mind projecting those sensations because of the navigational patterns carrying energies about unfulfilled attachment needs. That's where those sensations are coming from. And the self has never gotten to know who the self is beyond those projections. And so now we can know the essence of self in that experience is love's sacred witness and love's sacred power. The sacred witness and power of unconditional love. The power of unconditional love, the witness of unconditional love. So we're going to go through for each of you and make sure that we know who the self is independently of how body-mind navigation is projecting those realities from a space of unconditional love.
Okay, amazing job, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Great job. We're at a beautiful round of Body, Mind, Soul, Self treasure mapping. Now you have these magical takeaways to not only understand the navigation of the body mind, but also to distinguish the essence of yourself and those aspects of yourself from those personal experiences in body mind navigation, and connect with them from this lens, this space of unconditional love. And to know that when the navigational systems of the body mind have information about the fulfillment of its attachment needs, then those aspects of self will start to experience their identity of love rather than those projections that are not so enjoyable, not so fun to experience. Instead, parts of the self will actually start to encounter their true self as love, as love. So now, let's just take a minute stretch break. And as we're stretching, we're going to segue. Get up, move your arms around, move my arms around, move your arms around. We're going to segue into our second part here. We are going to learn about some journeys to practice social self-engagement, to help nourish these attachment needs so that aspects of the self can experience themselves as love. Okay, so let's just recap real briefly what we've learned. The body mind is comprised of trillions of networks which navigate and regulate life beyond awareness. And a big component of these trillions of navigational networks in the body mind are unconscious memories. And these unconscious memories don't store the past, they store patterns of feeling and movement with the neurobiological purpose of navigating present and potential moments. And the structures of these trillions of navigational networks in the body mind, which are also influencing the regulation of brain-body systems, all of that is happening in relation with specific internal needs of attachment systems. And so based on the need to feel seen and loved, based on the need to feel supported and connected, based on the need to feel safe and secure, based on the need to feel respected and recognized, based on all these different needs, unconscious memories hold patterns of feeling and movement that are being projected beyond awareness into experiences. And oftentimes when we have a habit that we're trying to shift, or an emotion that we're trying to shift, or any pattern of feeling or movement that's affecting our experience in any way, we're actually in an experience of unconscious memories, meaning that the body mind is actually remembering how it felt or moved before and is using that data to navigate the present moment. But when we experience that in the present moment, it does not feel like a memory. It feels like a present moment feeling. It feels like a present moment choice. And so as we expand awareness, we can start to recognize the existence and activity of unconscious memories. And this can help expand our awareness about what we're experiencing in everyday life. If there's a projection, again, of a certain emotion or feeling or sensation or thought or action pattern, approach avoidance tendency, a decision-making tendency, all of these systems of navigation are based on these navigational patterns held in memories in relation with attachment needs. Okay, how did all of this stuff originally develop into existence? So here we're going all the way back to where we started and bringing it full circle so that we can step forward and actually learn some new practices to help rewrite this information, to help reunify these aspects of our self-essence, to support the body-mind in evolving beyond the present patterns that they have, to help
heal and resolve any disruption of navigation or regulation, and to expand and evolve into new layers, new depths, new heights of patterns that can serve and support the navigation of our most authentic self moving forward. Okay, so bringing this all back full circle, how does this body mind begin to exist? Where did all of this come from? Where did all of these unconscious memories come from? Where did all of these navigational networks come from? Where did all of these trillions of pathways of information with different kinds of information that's connecting and carrying messages and all this stuff, how did all of this stuff get inside of us? How did all of this stuff get inside of us in the first place? Like, you look at yourself and you're like, okay, I've got like trillions of navigational networks. Like, okay, that's cool. How did this stuff get inside of me? Okay. And so we've already talked about this a little, but we're going to dive deeper. Okay. So experiences are what have developed this information, but it wasn't just about the experiences. It wasn't just, yes, XYZ happened and now that data is stored in a pattern in my body mind. Rather, it was all about experiences in relation with these attachment needs. And this is why there could be 100 people who are in the same moment of an experience, for example, but that experience is not going to be stored in their individuated body minds the exact same way, because the internal structures that are navigating and regulating that present moment are all different. And then the way that they're experiencing that moment in relation with their own internal attachment needs is all different. And so even if 100 people are literally in the exact same moment of experience, the way that that information will be stored inside the body mind and holding these navigational patterns and potentials will look very different. So where did the body mind first learn how to store its patterns of navigation and regulation? We can trace this all the way back to early childhood, where attachment development, especially through experiences of socially engaging with other people, created the foundation of neurodevelopment and sparked the expansion of brain-body wiring, growth, and development to their next level, and taught the body-mind how to gather information and store it in these patterns of navigation and protocols of regulation. And so we can trace all of this data back to social engagement in relation with attachment needs that especially created patterns of feeling and movement that are stored in the subconscious, unconscious landscapes of the body mind. All of this data affecting all of the navigation of our experience and all the regulation of our brain-body wiring can be traced back to experiences of social engagement, where experiences of socially engaging with people and those experiences in relation with attachment needs, social engagement beginning during early childhood, taught the body-mind how to develop its systems of navigation and regulation. And from that foundation, from early childhood and the original attachment development of the brain and the body, then experiences in relation with attachment needs, including through social engagement, continued teaching the body how to think, how to feel, how to move, how to respond, how to choose, how to behave, how to stand, how to sit, how to align its posture, how to speak, how to engage, how to do everything in relation with the navigation and regulation of our systems from the inside out. All of it, everything we just talked about, everything we just went over, everything we just explored, it all comes back to experiences of social engagement in relation with attachment needs. Okay, thus far, experiences of social engagement in relation with attachment needs, the power of that has been outside of us. In early childhood, that power was in the hands of caregivers and family members and those raising the child. During adolescence, that power was in the hands of peers and teachers and different people and different family members and different circumstances of socially engaging with all these external people. And then throughout adulthood, that power was in the hands of socially engaging with friends, family, colleagues, romantic partners, work opportunities, situations, housemates, neighbors, and the experience of socially engaging in relation with attachment needs that teaches the body how to navigate and regulate life. Before this moment, that power was primarily in the hands of other people. But now we are here to take that power back and start to cultivate it from within us. We are here to take back that power and start to cultivate it from within us. And so we are going to explore the most transformative journeys imaginable through practices called social self-engagement, where we are going to mimic the neurodevelopmental processes that originally sculpted the entire body-mind into existence. And in this process, these journeys and practices have the power to go deep into the layers of navigation and assist in resculpting them, to heal and resolve any disruptions of that data, and to expand and improve the potentials of that data moving forward, all while connecting deeper with all parts of the self, all aspects of the essence of self. And so remember earlier, a while back, we were talking about how there's different information stacked in the body mind, okay? There's the navigational pattern, which holds the specific navigational pattern that you can observe being projected into your thoughts, your feelings, your choice tendencies, your personality traits even, etc. And then beneath that are the unconscious memories, and you cannot directly see them, but there are some modalities that allow you to work with them in some unique ways. But then you go deeper than the unconscious memories, which you can't consciously access, and there are the systems of attachment systems. And based on those attachment systems, all of the trillions of networks in the brain and the body that are navigating and regulating existence through subconscious, unconscious activity, in relation with those attachment systems, everything else is organized and operating. So we are going to work directly with those attachment systems, and this helps to rewrite unconscious memories, resculpt those navigational patterns, improve brain-body regulation. It has so many positive benefit effects. These social self-engagement practices can help to improve and expand content and connectivity in the systems of navigation and regulation. It can help resolve unprocessed experiences or disintegrated brain-body wiring or incomplete unprocessed memories, incomplete action patterns, unprocessed emotions, and so much more. These practices can help to reorganize these networks so that data from every year of life, carrying conscious and unconscious information that's navigating different roles and priorities and affecting the way that the self associates with the self and associates with all other components of reality, every abstract association of experiential element, the trillions of networks carrying a lifetime of unconscious memories organized in relation with that, those 5 elements I just described, all of it can actually get reorganized and improve our quality of personal experience and connect us deeper with all parts of ourselves. Okay, so social self-engagement practices. We just talked a little bit about the benefits. What is it? What is it? What is this thing? how you do the thing. What is this thing? Social self-engagement practices are practiced in hundreds of different ways, but they all have 5 specific steps. 5 specific steps, okay? Write this down, 5 specific steps. The first step of social self-engagement is being grounded in love and presence. Grounded in love and presence. Grounded in your body in the present moment, and grounded in loving connection with your own self, or with life, or with your existence, or just any sensation of love in any capacity. Grounded in love and presence to the best of your ability. If there's a lot of disruption of brain-body activity, then experience might not feel like love, but you're going to connect with love to the best of your ability. And if there's a lot of disruption, it might actually be really hard to be grounded in your body in the present moment. But the point is to practice it. The achievement is not the destination of I'm completely grounded in love, I'm completely grounded in presence, mission accomplished. The journey is all about practicing love and practicing presence. And the moment that you are practicing, you are accomplishing it. The moment that you are practicing, you have achieved it. The moment that you are practicing, you are victorious. The moment that you are practicing, you are winning. Okay, so it's about the practice of it. Practicing love, practicing presence, presence with your body, love with yourself, or life, or any sensation of love that can connect you with yourself or life or the present moment. The second step of social self-engagement practices are to cultivate distinction and connection between self aspects. To cultivate distinction and connection between self aspects. And this can be done in over 20 different ways, but the simplest way to start is to practice distinction and connection between the awareness of yourself and the experiencer of yourself. Or to practice distinction and connection between the experiencer of yourself and the experience that they are encountering. Okay? And the third step is to cultivate self-attunement. So now that the awareness of self is distinguished from the experiencer of self, and that experiencer of self is known for the essence of who they are as the experiencer rather than the experience that they are encountering, then the awareness of self can start to attune with the attachment needs of that inner experiencer. The self who has a need inside, internally, an internal need, including these attachment needs, the aspect of self who has a need is not the same aspect of self who can fulfill that need. And that's why social engagement, when you're engaging externally, you're engaging with family members as a young child, you're engaging with peers growing up, you're engaging with a romantic partner as an adult, whatever it might be, there's 2 people involved. Social engagement, there's always more than one person. And so when we're practicing social self-engagement, there needs to be more than one aspect of the self. And there's different ways to practice this, but the very beginner entry level of this is differentiating the awareness of self from the experiencer of self. The awareness of self from the experiencer of self. And so the awareness of self is just pure awareness. And because it's just pure awareness and not the self within experience, the awareness of self doesn't have attachment needs. The awareness of self doesn't need to feel seen and loved. The awareness of self doesn't need to feel safe and secure. The awareness of self doesn't need to feel protected and provided for. The awareness of self doesn't need to feel supported and connected. The awareness of self doesn't feel the need to be respected and embraced. The awareness of self doesn't feel the need to feel important or valued. The awareness of self is not having a personal experience. It's just awareness. It's just awareness. But then there is the experiencer of self, and they have all of those attachment needs and other needs. And then there is the experience that is either fulfilling or not fulfilling those needs. And so distinguishing the awareness of self from the experiencer of self, and then starting to attune with the internal needs of self. And when we're in this process of self-attunement, it ranges along this little spectrum, which you'll see in your treasure mapping playbook. When you are fully attuned, there's perfect distinction between the awareness of self and the experiencer of self, and the awareness of self is aware of the internal needs and able to guide the inner experiencer to help fulfill those in the present moment, especially from within, without seeking externally. But when we're misattuned, there's too much connection, not enough differentiation between these aspects of self, and the awareness of self can't really be distinguished. There's just the experiencer who has all these attachment needs, and because they have all these attachment needs, they don't really know how to fulfill them, so they're very subject to how experience is fulfilling them, and there's a lot of just overly associating with experience and overly associating with these emotions and overly associating with these internal attachment needs. But then on the other end of this spectrum is being unattuned. The first one was misattuned. This other descriptor is unattuned. When we're unattuned, then there's distinction between the aspects of self, but there's no connection. And maybe you can be in a space of, I'm pure awareness, and I'm not overly attached to experience, and there's some distance between me and what I'm experiencing, but I'm not connected with the actual needs the aspects of myself have right now. And that can be a place of just very deep disconnection. You might be disconnected from emotions. You might be disconnected from your desires. You might be disconnected from what you enjoy. There's a lot of just disconnection. And so maybe you're not overly reactive to situations. Maybe you're not overly emotional. Maybe you're not overly needy, but instead it's the dramatic opposite where you don't acknowledge what you need. You don't honor what you need. You don't allow yourself to feel emotions, okay? And so when we're exploring this spectrum of self-attunement, there's misattuned that is often having too many emotions or too many needs and overly identifying with experience and overly associating yourself with what you're going through. And unattuned is where you're disconnected from emotions. You're disconnected from what you need, what you want, what you desire, what your passions are. And you're almost disassociated with what you're going through. You're totally disconnected from it. You're very detached, but to an unhealthy degree. And then being perfectly attuned looks like the awareness of self is differentiated from the experiencer of self. So there's this space of being able to not overly identify with emotions, to not overly react, to not have all these needs that you're constantly looking externally to fulfill. But then from that awareness of self, you are fully connected with the experiencer of self in the present moment, which is important. Because a lot of times when the body mind tries to navigate its needs, it's leaving the present moment and thinking about that past need that wasn't fulfilled yesterday or last year or 10 years ago. Or it's worried about fulfilling its attachment needs tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. The important thing here is the present moment experiencer. The experiencer of yourself is not in next week. The experiencer of yourself is not in last year. The experiencer of yourself is in your body mind right here, right now. And so attunement from a place of being grounded in loving presence with distinction and connection between self aspects is where the awareness of self can be fully connected with the present moment inner experiencer in full attunement with the attachment needs of that present moment experiencer. And this again can be traced back to attachment development. When there's a mom and a baby or a caregiver, parent figure of any kind, and that very young infant or toddler or very young child even, that adult figure is responsible for attuning with that child's needs, that toddler's needs, that infant's needs. That infant can't change their own diaper. That toddler can't prepare their own meal. That child can't give themselves what they need to thrive in that moment independently yet. And it is the responsibility of that adult figure to know about the needs of that infant, that toddler, and that child, and actually fulfill it for them. And this happens through that attachment development, beginning with the primary caregivers and that young infant, and then expanding into other experiences of social engagement with other people. And so we're bringing that concept in here as we learn this new practice and this new type of journey, okay? So social self-engagement practices require there to be distinction and connection between aspects of self, because the self who has the need to feel seen and loved and supported and connected and safe and secure and protected and provided for and respected and recognized and embraced and directionally guided and important and valued and with a sense of belonging. The self who has all of those needs is not the same aspect of self who can fulfill it for that self. So the awareness of self who does not have attachment needs is distinguished from the experiencer and then connected with them, attuned with their needs, the same way that a parent grows attuned with the needs of their newborn baby. The next step here is to grow attachments between aspects of the self and to create a felt sense of fulfillment for specific internal attachment needs. These are two distinct steps, but they go hand in hand, okay? So to create a felt sense of attachment need fulfillment, the awareness of self then holds space to see and love and appreciate and treasure and celebrate that inner experiencer and help them feel a sense of belonging, help them feel valued from within. And then the awareness of self helps that inner experiencer feel safe and secure and protected and provided for and stable from inside of their being. And that awareness of self helps the inner experiencer feel supported, connected, vulnerable, close, and with collaboration and community from within. There's community and communion and collaboration and connection and support because there's distinction and connection between aspects of the self. And they can now provide that for each other. And the awareness of self helps that inner experiencer feel embraced, recognized, respected, allowed to be themselves, a sense of allowance to be all that they are. A sense of directional guidance, opportunistic space, a sense of importance and purpose. And the awareness of self helps fulfill those attachment needs for the present moment inner experiencer. For the present moment inner experiencer. And in this process, the awareness of self grows internally attached to the experiencer of self. And again, there's so many different ways to practice this distinction and connection, and this can take on new shapes. For example, the present moment experiencer can grow attached to the childhood self or the inner child. The masculine energies of self can grow attached with the feminine energies of self. For now, we're starting with the awareness of self growing attached with the experiencer of self. And this is a relational bond. A relational bond. There are relational bonds being developed between aspects of your own self-essence, aspects of your own consciousness, aspects of your own soul essence, your inner being. And so when there are two romantic partners in a romantic relationship with each other, they are attached with each other. When there are two best friends in a friendship relationship, they are attached with each other. When there's a parent and an infant, they are attached with each other. There are attachment bonds between two people. Now we have attachment bonds between two distinguished aspects of the inner self. And the fulfillment of those attachment needs is coming from another part of the self instead of being exclusively dependent on external experiences and social engagement with other people. So those are the 5 basic steps of social self-engagement. Then there are the 5 stages of implicit experience. And to overly summarize and simplify it, when you progress through the stages of implicit experience, you gradually grow through those 5 steps to a place where you are somatically experiencing the fulfillment of the unconditional love that you crave to experience. The 5 stages of implicit experience, which naturally unfold as you cultivate those 5 steps of social self-engagement, are a progression of being able to somatically experience the unconditional love that you crave from within your own being. And so imagine 2 romantic partners, and they're hanging out and they're casual and they're chilling and they're just whatever. They're just hanging out in each other's presence. And within a few minutes, they're very close to each other physically and emotionally, and their eyes are locked and they are pouring love into each other to the point where the entire world melts away and they are lost in each other's eyes, and everything is just lost in that moment of loving connection. Or to use the parent and infant analogy or toddler young child analogy, they're hanging out in the same space. They're within the proximity of each other, but they're kind of doing their own thing. Maybe that infant is goo-goo gaga-ing at something and looking at the birds flying around, or that toddler is coloring or something, and the parents, cleaning up or doing whatever they're doing. So they're in the same vicinity as each other, but they're not having a very close moment of connection, okay? They go from that space to the mom holding that infant and looking in their eyes and rocking that baby and holding that young baby and looking in the eyes of that infant and just being lost in their eyes. And that infant is locked eyes with them. And in that moment, nothing exists except the moment of exchanging love between those 2 people. Okay? And you can use other examples, but you go from a space of being within the general vicinity of each other without having much going on between you to being so attuned and so close and so connected that everything else fades away and there is a somatic sensation of unconditional love in that moment. That's the experience of progressing through the stages of implicit experience through a social self-engagement practice. Okay, so we've talked about the purpose of social self-engagement and why it's so powerful. Social self-engagement practices can help to resculpt these unconscious memories, navigational patterns, improve brain-body regulation, connect you deeper with yourself, resolve any disruption of that stuff, and expand the well-being of it and the potential of it moving forward. And it's so effective because all the structures of navigation and regulation and trillions of complex body-mind networks originally developed into existence through attachment development and experiences of social engagement. Social engagement and attachment development and experiences in relation with these specific internal attachment needs. And so now we are mimicking and mirroring that process through an inward practice of distinction and connection between aspects of self who then grow attachments with each other and fulfill those internal needs from within. And as the self aspects grow attachments with each other, it's a 2-way street. The awareness of self grows attached to the experiencer of self, just falls in love with them. And then that experiencer of self is like, wow, I can look to this awareness within me when I need something. And so as the experiencer of myself, before I'm just automatically seeking the need to feel seen and loved externally, I can actually be like, wait, I have an inner resource. I have an inner lighthouse. I have someone, something, some aspect of my own self that I can actually pause and connect with and, give a call to. If you have an attachment need, the child might call out to that parent, or that romantic partner might pick up the phone and call their romantic partner. The same way that they're attached with each other and actively seek out that source for attachment need fulfillment, the experiencer of self can learn to turn to the awareness of self and give that awareness of self a call on their inward phone, basically. Okay. And then those attachment needs. Yes, it would be great to be seen and loved by other people. Yes, it's great to be supported by other people and situations. Yes, it's great to feel safe and secure by things within our reality outside of us. Yes, it's great to have opportunities outside of us. Yes, that's all still good and dandy. But the whole goal is that these needs are being met inside of us first and foremost. And anything externally is second to that. And when the self can fulfill these attachment needs for the self, again, there's all these benefits in resculpting these navigational patterns, rewriting these unconscious memories, shifting patterns of thinking, feeling, moving, responding, choice tendencies, even personality traits that actually restricted your authentic self can dissolve. And then this new sense of self can emerge because the patterns of navigation now support you from unconditional love rather than conditional love. So there's all these different benefits that go on. And so along with all those benefits of health, your mental health, your emotional health, your behavioral health, your relational health, even your spiritual health, along with actual health benefits, it can expand your inner power because you'll no longer be giving that power outside of you. That romantic partner won't have all of the power because you're seeing and loving yourself first and foremost. Those circumstances won't have all the power because you're feeling safe and secure inside of yourself first. Those external things won't have the power to affect you as much because you're able to stabilize the well-being of your attachment needs from within you. And then everything else can improve and expand because you're coming from this place of love. You're coming from this place of respect and honor. You're coming from this place of being grounded and connected. You're coming from this really amazing place of inner power. And so along with all the actual health benefits, you have more power inside of you, which can improve every area of life in limitless ways. Okay, and then to practice social self-engagement, there's 5 steps to actively invest in, and this gradually cultivates 5 stages of implicit experience, which I'm not going to go into the descriptor of each one, but in summary, it's you kind of go from that space of you're just in the general proximity of aspects of yourself to stage 5 where you are somatically encountering a deep moment of connection through unconditional love, where in that moment, every attachment need feels fulfilled and every other moment of experience dissolves because that present moment is all the love that you need and all the love that you want and all the love that you are. Okay, so we are going to learn a few different ways to practice social self-engagement here. And the first few practices are ones that you can use in everyday life, everyday moments. When you're unloading the dishwasher, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're washing your hair, when you're in the shower, when you're going for a walk, when you're doing the chores, when you're mowing the lawn, when you're cuddling an animal, when you're talking to an animal, when you're doing just about anything in everyday life. And they can just be applied. These practices are so simple and so easy and so fun and so flexible. They can be practiced anywhere from 20 seconds to 2 minutes. And if you want to practice them on repeat, then they can be practiced, as long as you want. I personally have practiced them like 24/7 for several years. And so there's a lot of power and potential. But to start planting the seeds and just
a little bit consistently is what's most important, they can be practiced in just a few seconds or a couple of minutes in your everyday moments, easily integrated in everyday life. And then the second type of journey we're going to explore is inward imagination ignitions for social soul self, which is just a fancy fun name that I've created to describe practicing social self-engagement through inward self-hypnosis or meditative styled experiences. Adventures of consciousness, hypnotic adventures of consciousness is how I describe them. And that's where we close our eyes and we're going to go inside and get into this meditative brainwave state, self-hypnotic brainwave state. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, but we'll start with a very simple journey of practicing distinction and connection between aspects of self and exploring a way to somatically sense the fulfillment of internal attachment needs through this meditative self-hypnosis journey. And again, there's lots of different ways to practice this, and so you can use this journey to practice distinction and connection between your higher self and your human self, the awareness of self and your experiencer of self, your adult self and your childhood self, the part of you that's more serious and goal-focused, maybe more masculine energy, to the part of you who's more whimsical and light and creative and spontaneous and feminine energy. You can practice distinction and connection between self-aspects in so many different ways. And so that's the second type of journey, self-hypnosis, where we practice social self-engagement in that meditative inward state, closed eyes, using our imagination. And then the third type of social self-engagement practice we'll explore is eye-gazing in a mirror. Eye-gazing in a mirror. And there's so many different ways to play with this. This is something that I share in my own personal work in amazing ways, lots of self-guided journeys and different types of sessions, but we're going to just practice a very simple, basic starter marathon eye-gazing practice, which is something that I call the Roots of Reality marathon practice. The Roots of Reality marathon practice, which is a way to somatically sense the unconditional love of who you are. So we're going to go through each of these journeys. I'm going to teach and guide you through them so that you can walk away here with a way to practice socially engaging with aspects of your own self and fulfill these internal attachment needs for different parts of yourself in different really fun ways. And this can help improve the navigation and regulation of the body-mind to expand the quality of your personal experience from the inside out.